Hey friends, happy Friday! It's Ellen from Wild Birds Unlimited in Joliet. On Fridays around 5:30-ish. Today might be a little early. We go live every Friday evening to tell you what's new, what's happening at the store, but also what's happening out in nature. So we're going to talk about that today. And our topic today is all about creating that awesome fall habitat, that autumn habitat for your birds. Now, this is like prep for winter, right? And let's put the backdrop on, okay? So, autumn comes, it's fall, the weather is changing finally. Maybe you like that or you don't. Let me know in the comments. Are you a for cold weather person or are you a for warm weather person? I would love to hear that. Of course, in the comments, also let us know what you're seeing at your feeders. Are you seeing juncos? Are you seeing white-throated sparrows? Are you seeing white-crowned sparrows? Pine siskins? Who are you seeing? We'd love to hear from you on what is coming to your feeders this time of year. Now, I know many people are telling me that they're starting to see juncos in town, and that means that many of our other wintering visitors are going to be coming here too. So keep your eyes open or keep your ears open, and if you not sure what some of these birds sound like, I've been posting for the past week or so on what these birds sound like and what to look for, what you can offer to attract them to your yard. So scroll on our page and find those posts, and it'll give you all the intel you need to really learn all about that. Of course, another great resource is Cornell's allaboutbirds.org. That is also a great resource too, because then you can learn everything you want about almost any bird in the whole world. So it's a great resource, all right? But let's set the stage. How to create that awesome autumn habitat for birds. So fall comes, the leaves change, pumpkin spice is everywhere, right? We as humans are starting to prepare for things like some really cool traditions, like some cool holidays coming up. And the birds are kind of doing the same thing, except they look forward to something else. Can you guess what that is? Well, if you guessed consistency, you would be right and you would win the award tonight, because that is really what they're looking for. Birds this time of year are looking for constant things. Things that are in your yard that they can rely on when things aren't as nice as they are right now. And believe it or not, even though we're in cold weather now, it is the prime time for birds. And the reason is because there is just so much natural food out there right now, right? Spent flowers are now gone to seed. That is food. Trees are producing acorns, and other acorns are fruits like berries off of trees. Those are natural food resources. And we still also have a couple insects around, and even though some of the insects will go away in winter as we get colder weather, their eggs and larvae that are ready for in preparation for next spring are still here. And that is what your birds are relying on right now during the natural buffet that fall provides. Now soon weather will change. Things will be different. Times will be lean. And your birds are looking for who they can rely on this time of year. So let's give you my 6 tips to creating the best fall habitat in your own yard for your birds. Okay, let's talk about them each. Okay, number 1 is leaving the landscape. And I kind of joke on this because I wrote it down like leafing the landscape, and it's a kind of a play on words because truthfully it all has to do with your yard, what's falling on your yard, and how you can provide a really natural landscape that is really very much providing to birds. So, for example, leaving those dead-headed flowers, right? Leaving those seed heads standing on those flowers are going to provide for birds far after all the big buffet has ended. They will come to those last resources when they need it most. Other things to think about too is that leaf litter is really important. So we talk a lot about leaving the leaves here because truthfully that cover that leaves are providing are actually providing overwintering habitats for many of our insects. Guess who eats insects? That's right, your birds. So if you really want to make that big, beautiful habitat for your birds, consider leaving the leaves. Don't rake them up or only move them into a certain area in your yard so that you can maintain your lawn if you are doing that. But if you can, try to leave them because honestly, it's going to do your soil really good. It's going to do the wildlife really well. So leave the landscape, okay? Number 2 is take stock of feeders. And what I mean by this is fall is that perfect time to put eyes on your feeders. Okay, maybe it's you have different seed feeders, maybe you have 2 feeders, maybe you want to look at them, you want to make sure that you can, if you haven't done so already, clean them up. Fall is that great time because let me tell you, when it gets into winter, we don't necessarily want to be going out there emptying feeders and refilling them and cleaning them and all of that stuff. Do it now. Do it now while the weather is nicer than when it is in winter. It's also a great time to clean up underneath the feeder, such as using seed hull digester, raking up the fallen hull from your seeds is really, really going to help and benefit your birds because it's going to give them a clean, healthy spot to forage. And let me tell you, many birds forage right on the ground underneath your feeders, especially during winter, picking up little bits that have fallen off of the feeder above. So it's a really great thing to do to maintain the area under your feeders so that it's safe and healthy, but also accommodating and birds want to come and hang out. The other thing to think about in fall is perhaps moving feeders or feeder poles closer to windows so that you don't have to trek so far out. Okay, so maybe it's moving the pole several feet forward, closer to the house so that you can see the birds in a closer range, but you also don't have to walk out so far in snow to fill those feeders. And I really highly recommend doing that action now, as well as installing any new poles right now before the ground freezes. So do it now, do the work now so that you can benefit and reap the benefits later when we're in the heart of winter. Okay, number three is provide a feeding foundation. Now, I talk a lot about feeder foundations or the foundational feeder, and let's review a little bit what that is. So a foundational feeder is a feeder that can hold a seed blend that is very attractive to a wide variety of birds. It's also a feeder that can hold many days worth of food. So for example, foundational feeder could be a seed cylinder feeder. Okay? It also could be a loose seed feeder, such as a hopper feeder or a tube feeder too. The idea is that it's going to hold a lot of food so that you don't have to go out there as frequently. Maintaining a foundational feeder like this also does another thing. It really helps your birds know that it's a reliable food source is waiting for them. So right now, during the slowdown, and I'm sure some of you have experienced this yourself, that feeder activity can be a little bit low. And the reason for this is because we just talked about that big buffet of natural food that the natural habitats, the wild, is providing for them. But soon the weather will change. Soon those natural resources will be depleted. And I'm telling you, your birds are checking in on you. Are you maintaining a feeder? Are you maintaining a few feeders, even if it's half full? So when they stop by, are they putting you in their GPS for winter? I hope so, because with that foundational feeder, it makes that task super easy. By maintaining a foundational feeder and keeping something out there at all times, you're telling your birds they can rely on you. They can make you and your yard part of their winter territory, because you're going to provide the things that they need and want in the winter. Okay, number 4 is provide shelter. I know we talked about shelter a couple times in October, but I don't think it hurts to bring it up again, because there is a couple ways that birds find shelter. Some of them are natural, right? So, for example, like the vegetation in your yard, or those natural cavities in trees, or even brush piles are great examples of natural shelter that either you can make or provide just by simply having your yard available to them, right? Other things that you can provide are, say, roosting pockets, like these guys, right? Oh, like these, a little shelter escape from cold weather, such as cold, really nasty rain, or just winter weather in general. They will seek shelter in here. Now, another option, of course, is our roosting boxes. So similar to nesting boxes, roosting boxes have a hole, an entry hole, but instead of at the top for nesting, it's located on the bottom. And the reason for that is that it'll trap the warm air in here and not let as much out, because hot air rises. So with the hole in the bottom, it's going to provide a nice toasty cabin for them. And of course, inside here is the roosting purchase. So in winter, birds aren't so against each other. They work a little bit more together. Staying in numbers kind of helps a couple reasons. For example, more eyes to find food, more eyes to look out for predators, but also being in a flock or in a group, they will kind of roost together. So in a box like this, many birds may perch up on these perch bars and spend a night or a couple hours in here together, making sure that they are nice and warm and toasty, not expending as much energy, just trying to survive that cold night or that cold day. They're working together, keep combining their body heats together and keeping warm. So that's another great way that you can provide shelter. Of course, a couple weeks ago we talked about how to make existing nesting boxes and winterize them. So for example, closing up some of those ventilation ports with using nesting material can really help make those existing nest boxes turn into roosting boxes just for the winter season, right? Now, number 5 is offer water. Now, I know you know that birds need water. And birds need water because they need to stay hydrated, but they also need to maintain feathers. And yes, birds will bathe in winter because they need to maintain feathers. They need to be flight ready at all times. So feathers are actually super, super important to them because it all has to do with insulation as well. So in order to do that, they're obviously going to need to be provided water. Now, we might be not too cold where we need to worry about heated bird baths or heating devices like de-icers that you can put in your bird bath, but I thought I would mention them again since we haven't talked about it in a while, and now we are in the cold. So let's talk about water and how to provide it in cold months. So there are 2 ways that you can provide water in winter. One is by using a de-icer. So a de-icer like this, oh, I should have opened it ahead of time, but I'll just do it right now, it's an element that you put into a bird bath. I'm going to show you. Open this up for you. So this is one of our de-icers. Again, this part right here is the heating element. It does require electric, right? So if you have your dish out there, and I do recommend if you have any porous bird baths such as ceramic or concrete, that you do either remove them, not have them outside during the winter, or that you cover them. Okay, and it sometimes involves physically turning the dish portion upside down so it will not collect water or snow that may thaw and freeze and thaw and freeze, and that thaw and freezing actually creates spider cracks in your in your dish, which over time can deteriorate it. So I highly recommend that either you remove those porous bird baths or you turn them over and cover them with a proper cover so that they maintain and are still good for years to come. Now, if you're like me and you maybe switch your bird bath out in the winter, or you have a bird bath all year round, that's either plastic or metal, that works great. So a dish like this, if you have one like that, you could definitely put the heating element in there, and then the water in this bird bath is going to stay warm enough so that it does not freeze. Again, heated bird baths like these are not hot tubs for the birds. All right, it's not going to cook them in there. It's not going to get so hot. All it is doing is making the temperature of the water itself just warm enough so it does not freeze. All right, so this is the de-icer version. That's a great option for a variety of bird baths to use. Another way to offer water with a heated bird bath element, is an actual heated bird bath. Now I'm going to show you what that looks like. For example, this guy. The heating element is actually inside. Now I know it's taped up here, but it's just because this actual bird bath has a hardware on it that you can actually attach this dish to a deck. So it comes with it. If you don't need it, you just don't need to apply it. But for this sake that this is our display, I just have taped it to the bottom so we don't lose it. But that's the heating element is actually in this dish. So again, you plug this dish part into your electric, and then the dish itself is providing the heat. All right, the heating element. So by providing a heated sourced water in our area, it's necessary to provide that open water. Otherwise, once we get into those really cold temps, when it drops below freezing, the water freezes over, and then the birds have no more access to that water. So it's really, really important that we have water available for your birds so that they can maintain hydration, that they can be flight ready at all times, and in fact, they can stay insulated. Because yes, feathers help insulate the birds, and they need to make sure that they are perfectly in perfect maintained condition so that they can do that. All right, and then the sixth thing, which is also super, super important, is to offer high-fat foods during fall in preparation for winter. When we start getting into cold weather, birds really, really need a high-calorie diet to warm their little bodies. Okay, so foods such as peanuts and tree nuts are a big one. Okay, so over here I have peanuts in the shell, which are loved by so many birds. Of course, the critters too, but there are ways that we can mitigate squirrel issues if that's your thing, okay? But let's talk about it. High fat foods like peanuts in the shell or out of the shell are great. These nuts over here is actually chopped tree nuts. And yes, so we do sell them in 5-pound bags. We can get larger quantities if you would like them, but they also make a great addition to any charcuterie board you may be making for your own birds. But high fat is the key right now in preparation for winter. Remember, your birds are watching. They're waiting and looking and seeing if you are going to be reliable for them for future. Okay, maybe whether they come to the feeder and eat right now or not, they are watching. Let me tell you, they're going to remember who is providing and who isn't. Other things to provide, of course, as I've shown here, is Winter Super Blend. And yes, Winter Super Blend comes in seed cylinders. It also comes in loose seed. So Winter Super Blend is designed to be the highest fat content on the market for your birds, specifically for winter. Hey Valerie, great to see you. Good to hear the goldfinches have returned. Are they in their winter garb? I would love to hear. Let me know. Other things to provide would be suet. So suet, of course, comes in a variety of different ways, whether it's the suet cylinders, whether it's cakes, right? But super suet Out of all of our suet, I know we have so many different flavors and whatnot, but honestly, Super Suet is the top of the line if you are looking to provide high fat, high protein foods. Super Suet is the highest on the market. So if you want to provide the best of the best, Super Suet is your way to go. Now, on this pole feeder, I thought it was kind of cool to show you this really cool attachment. So another way to offer suet is right on your pole. And how it works is it's actually just this attachment, believe it or not. And how it works is there's a nut and two washers. So on this one, let's show you. I'll take out my Super Suet cake. But see, it's easy attached right onto my pole system, and it's in between my two washers. See if I can get it off without, there we go. So again, easy attached suet cage to your pole system. How cool is that? And of course, in suet cages like this, out of season, if I'm not using it for suet, I love to stuff these things with other things, such as peanuts out of the shell, or in the shell, or nesting material when it comes to winter. Suet cages are so versatile in their uses, but I love that this attachment, this easy attached hook, that you can attach pretty much any suet cage to. It doesn't have to be ours, but you just put one part of this, the washer, and then you take the nut and the washer off, and you leave one washer on, stick it through your suet cage, and then you reattach the other washer and the nut, and then you just attach it to your pole system. How easy is that to attach another suet feeder anywhere else in your yard? So super, super easy. Okay, but suet is a big thing because, of course, suet is primarily made out of fats. So you can provide suet. Suet is a great offering for your birds. Also awesome this time of year is bark butter products. Because bark butter is a lot of fat and a lot of protein in it too. Whether it's the bits, which I call the M&Ms in the trail mix, whether you're offering M&Ms, bird M&Ms loose, or you're offering them mixed in seed, it's a great addition to your setup. Be seasonally savvy. Of course, there's the spreadable version too, which makes it more fun because you can have more places besides just your feeders to offer in. And when it comes to loose seed, of course, Winter Super Blend is one of the best things that you can offer, but other great blends would be any of our No Mess blends, Tree Nutty Plus, Choice Plus, or regular Choice. Those all have a lot of high fat content. There's not much of our seed blends here that we provide that isn't going to be good for the birds right now. But you really want to focus on adding more peanuts, more tree nuts, more suets to your offerings, because that's really what birds are needing this time of year. So we got a really great question, and the question is, how do I keep the raccoons away? Never had them at the previous house, and they didn't seem to care if the seed is spicy, and that can be true. I will show you. We're going to take a little walk with me. In fact, I'm going to just grab it, and I'll be right back. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to show you exactly how to take care of raccoons. Okay, if you have a pole system, the best way to keep raccoons off of your pole system is with a baffle. This is a raccoon baffle. So as you can tell, it's actually much longer than our typical squirrel baffles. So it comes in a variety of styles. If you have a post, like a 4x4 post, we have raccoon baffles for posts. This one is obviously intended for our pole system, but this is a great option for keeping raccoons away. All right. Valerie, if you need us to ship it to you, give us a call, because I don't know if this is on my WBU and for shipping. So just give us a call if that's something that you need. I know sometimes mammals can not care about hot, and I'll tell you why. There are some reasons why squirrels or other mammals may eat hot spicy foods. One could be that your hot seed, say you are using a tray feeder and you use our fiery feast or some other type of hot pepper food from us. Now, our hot pepper food, that spice, that capsaicin, that oil that's on there is cured onto each individual seed ingredient that's in that hot mix. Now, some suppliers that are not Wild Birds Unlimited, sometimes they just coat the outside, but the inside is the same. Now, so one thing that potentially could be is if you're not using Wild Birds Unlimited spicy, there's no guarantee that it's, one, going to be hot enough to be a deterrent, or two, that it's completely coated all the way around, all throughout, and ingrained on everything. The other thing to consider is, does your feeder, is it protected from the elements? So because capsaicin oil is a coating on the individual ingredients, it can, over time, get diluted with water. For example, if we've had a heavy rain or rain for several days in a row, your seed that's spicy can get a little less spicy because the water has actually diluted the capsaicin oil on the outside. Okay? Another reason why sometimes squirrels or other critters go after hot foods is because they have young, or they are preparing for young to come, and they are moms, and they're good moms. And unfortunately, for us, that these moms, these great moms, will come to your feeder and eat the hot food simply because they need the calories. Now, this could also happen in nature if the natural habitat around them is not providing enough food for them to survive and thrive. So if nature is not providing for them, they will come to your feeders even if it's hot. And they will suffer through that spiciness just because they have to eat. And they know that it's a spicy peanut, but the peanuts are going to give them a lot of fat, and they need a lot of fat this time of year. So be sure that, so think about that too. So there could be a couple things that are happening. Great to see you, Angela. I miss seeing you too. Must be on an off schedule. I usually am not in the store on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Those are my only 2 days off that for sure I'm not in the store. But sometimes during the days that I am here, I am at meetings or at different consultations and things like that. So there are chances that you may not see me at some times, even when it's a day I'm supposed to be here. So I do miss you though. I miss all of you. You guys are my best friends. But yeah, but the best way to keep, the proofed way to get critters away from your feeders is by using a raccoon baffle. Look for one that's specific to raccoons. Okay, we do carry these. It's just I'm not sure if they're on our My WBU. All right. The other thing to think about is that, and this is what I always told people when I used to work at a garden center once upon a time, is that people would say, oh, I planted whatever, and it's supposed to not, the deer aren't supposed to like it, but the deer ate it. Or the rabbits aren't supposed to like this plant, but the rabbits ate it. And I said, animals are just like people. And sometimes what one of us humans doesn't like, another human will like. So for example, sometimes you have, I have a family member that does not do anything spicy. Right? Anything with any kind of spice, or as I say, any kind of flavor in it, she will not eat. And that's okay. All right? It's not bad on her, but I just know that anything that we cook, we have to be very mild in flavor because she's very sensitive to spicy foods. So with that in mind, with your critters, what one rabbit will eat, another one will. What one squirrel will eat, another won't eat. So squirrels and humans, while we're not quite we're not that close in relation, but we do have tendencies that are similar. Some mammals are a little bit more tolerant to certain things that others are not. Okay, so I hope that kind of makes sense. All right. Yeah. All right. Well, you guys have any other questions? It's such a great time of year to really see a lot of new things. Juncos have been spotted by so many people in Will County, so I hope that you are starting to see them too. If you're not sure what they look like, they are a token snowbird, sometimes fondly called snowbirds, but many times they are very dark gray from their head down their back. And on their chest, down their belly, is this beautiful soft white color. They are so handsome looking. So they have cute little faces, and they kind of often hop on the ground, making like a little clicking noise. It's their little call. Kind of sounds like Morse code if they're calling to each other. It's so fun. But I've seen a couple of red-breasted nuthatches this year. Since it's eruption year, we know we're going to get many more birds from further north down to our area because the boreal forest is not producing as much seed and cones as they normally should. And because of that, we get to soak them all in as our winter bird visitors. Now, there are some tried and true, like juncos are typical, but some birds, like purple finches, red-breasted nuthatches, are just a few of birds that we may see in our area that we otherwise wouldn't if it wasn't for an eruption year. So we haven't seen red-breasted nuthatches in like 2 years. So I am so excited to see them here and get them back because it's been so long since we've seen them. And now we get them. Oh, good to hear, Angela, that you're getting juncos. I love it. But every day we're going to start seeing more and more winter visitors, and it's going to be so much fun. Be sure that you are going to provide some of these or all of these 6 things that we talked about to make and create that autumn habitat that your birds know you're going to be providing for them in the winter. You can have the best winter success and see all these different birds, some of these new visitors that we haven't seen in over 2 years, just by providing that awesome habitat for winter through food, shelter, and water. Okay? Everything else, whether it's feeder maintenance and all that, it takes a secondary seat, but it's equally as important, guys. Making sure that your setup is perfect and golden and ready for the birds to come and eat from it. I love this little dish too. I left it on here. We use it out on our feeders. I put everything from bark butter bits, peanut pieces, to loose pieces of loose seed in here. It's a great little dish, and it easily attaches to your pole system. But by providing all those high-fat foods, you're really going to tell your birds that they can rely on you. And I know if you're like me, we want to have the best winter success, especially since it's an eruption year. So think about providing all those things, and it's going to really do you benefit. Now, a couple things to think about. All right, we have still our Daily Savings Club extended sale still goes on through the end of the month. So if you're a Daily Savings Club, you can reap the benefits of 15 plus additional 5% on all your bird food purchases through the end of the month. Okay, and that's in store or online. So take advantage of it while it's here. Okay, the other thing to think about is that we have a couple really awesome events coming up. So tonight, and I wanted to mention why I'm still online when we were supposed to have an art class tonight, and that's because we had to cancel tonight's class because our art teacher is not feeling well, but we are rescheduling, and how it's going to work is we're just moving all the classes down 1 month. So for example, tonight was supposed to be inks, but instead of it being inks tonight, we're going to move it to the day the watercolor was supposed to be. So November 21st, instead of watercolor, it's going to be inks, and it'll be here. In December, it's going to be at Dottie's Art Studio in Plainfield. That is where we'll do watercolor. And then in January, we're going to do an acrylics class. And if you haven't seen my artwork, be sure you stop in the store and you can see my pencil sketching. It was so much fun So I really hope you guys can join us for the next session. All right. The other thing happening coming up in November, the 8th, it's the second Saturday in November, is our in-store presentation on preparing your yard for winter. So if you thought these were great tips, I'm telling you, it's going to go a deep dive in during this presentation. Of course, it's presented by a certified bird feeding specialist, and you'll learn everything you need to get yourself ready and get your birds ready for winter. Also happening in November on the 10th at 9:30, that's a Monday morning, we are meeting at Rock Run Preserve at the Black Road Access for a bird outing. So every month on a Monday, we go have a bird outing. Now, this month today starts day 1 of Birdability Week. So if you're not sure what Birdability is, it's essentially an organization that provides, that believes, like we believe, that birds are for everyone, and regardless of how you are, what your abilities are. So, for example, if you have some mobility challenges or some other, like if you are having sight or hearing or whatever other challenges that you may have, Birdability Week is designed for you. So if you are interested in more information, I'm going to be posting something after this live. They'll give you a resource, Birdability resource, on where you can find birding events for people that are in wheelchairs. Now, my birding events, we have everything. So my bird outings are inclusive for all. So whether you are in a wheelchair, which we have participants that come in wheelchairs, and it works wonderful. I have a participant that comes that is blind, and I describe the birds to him, and it's really, really a wonderful experience. It was actually really wonderful for me too. I learned a lot, and it was also wonderful to see him enjoy it so much. So if you have someone that you know, or you yourself have some challenges that maybe to mobility or to sight or anything, I implore you to come to the store or call and let me know, and we would love to set up a Birdability outing just around your specific needs. So yes, Angela, come to the watercolor. It's going to be so good. So excited. So the next bird outing that we have is on November 10th at 9:30. Come by Rock Run at the Black Road Access, and we're going to be on the look for winter visitors. So it should be really cool. Another cool event that's happening in November that you do not want to miss is we are hosting the Natural Naturalist. So she is a naturalist, but she also has all these animal ambassadors, including a European starling and a Eurasian collared dove. Those are just some of the animals that she's going to be bringing. But again, all of her animals speak to education and conserving natural spaces. So it's going to be a really good event, and that is on November 15th from 11 to 12. So be sure you come in. Oh, excuse me. All right. Well, that is all I have for today, but I'm sure we'll catch up next Friday when we go live at around 5:30 p.m. to tell you what's new, what's happening at the store, and what's happening out in nature. Of course, if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'm always here to answer your questions. We love to help you enjoy your birds and your yard as much as you can. All right, guys, you have a great evening and a great weekend, and we'll see you here. Bye now.